Okay, so using the discriminant, I'm just going to do a quick overview of what the discriminant is and why we use it. So firstly, the discriminant, sometimes we'll write this little symbol, just to say discriminant, or we'll just literally write discriminant. And then lastly, some books will also write D. So one of these things you'll see, I'm going to stick with just writing discriminant for now. So the three different forms of the discriminant we've got, it's all around b squared minus 4ac, so that is the discriminant. If that value comes out to be larger than 0, this tells us that your equation has two real roots. That's quite important. So we know it's got two distinct roots. If b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, this means it's got one distinct root. Still got two roots, but it's only one distinct root because they're the same. So often a question will try and trick you by saying equal roots. So it might say equal roots, and that just means one distinct root. So when you see equal roots, make sure you're associating that with b squared minus 4ac equals 0. And lastly is if it's less than 0. So b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. And that means it's got no roots. So what is the point of this? Where does it come from? Well, if you think about the quadratic formula, so I'm not doing this question yet, but if you think about the quadratic formula itself, it's got this square root symbol. And inside of that is our discriminant. And that's basically what this is all based around. We've got some value minus b, and we're either adding or subtracting another value that comes from this square root. If that square root inside of that is a positive number, like 4, if we square root 4, then we'll get plus minus 2. So to this b number, we will be adding 2 or taking away 2. And that will give us two different answers because it's going to generate a plus and a minus. So we get two different answers from that. If this value is actually 0, then the square root of 0 is nothing. So in other words, we just get minus b divided by, I've just realized here, what have I done? Should be just 2a at the bottom there. If we've got a minus b, it'd just be over 2a. If this was 0, we wouldn't add anything. So we just get minus b divided by 2a, which is one real root, it's one distinct root. And then lastly, if this is negative, it means we can't actually square root that. This technically exists in the mathematical world, but we don't deal with that yet. So currently we get an error, which means we can't actually solve it, and it's got no roots. Remember, a root is where it crosses that x-axis. So it comes down and goes back up, so there's one root, two roots. And it's just keeping that in mind. So this discriminant helps us tell whether it's got 2, 1, or no roots. So that's the overview of this. So these types of questions, what you're looking for is if they start asking you about how many roots it's got, if it's got two distinct roots, if it's got equal roots, then you know, actually, I should be thinking about the discriminant. And remember, for the discriminant, you need to know what a, b, and c are, given that a is the coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant coefficient. So that's our general formula. So just keep all that in mind. So looking at this equation, we're told it's got two distinct real roots. So straight away, I'm thinking from that two distinct roots implies that b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0. And then using this, we're just going to find out what a, b, and c are and substitute. So we just want to write an inequality in terms of k, but we're not going to solve it. So all we're going to do is substitute into this, and that's our answer. So the hardest bit now is figuring out what a, b, and c are. So a, coefficient of x squared, which is 1. B, the coefficient of x, is this k minus 3. And finally, c is 3 minus 2k. So we're just going to use these. So just substituting these in, we've got k minus 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times this 3 minus 2k. So we're just substituting those in, and we know this is bigger than 0. So what we're going to do is expand this, and that's going to be our answer. So, and it's just an inequality. We've technically got an inequality in terms of k. We just want to expand and simplify. So expanding this bit, we've got k squared minus 6k plus 9. And then expanding this, remember it's minus 4 times 1, which is minus 4. I've got minus 4 times 3, which is minus 12. I've got minus 4 times minus 2k, so that's a plus 8k. And that's bigger than 0. So our final answer is k squared minus 6k plus 8k is plus 2k. And then 9 take away 12 is minus 3. Eventually, we'll look to try and solve these to figure out what k could be. Now, k won't be specific values for this type of equation. It will be it'll be a range of values, but we'll look at that a bit later. So that's how you do question 1.